Good morning. It's Saturday, the 23rd of August 2023. You're welcome back to Real True Education, not fake news. For those who are new to the channel, I regard this channel as a bit like a chat. In Ireland, we have a great trait of talking, having an old chinwag, meeting someone on the street, how are you doing? And and having a chat like that. And it's a bit like that. It's an extension of that to the wider world because people definitely like to chat with me, no matter what their views are. They'll always have an old chat with me. And I have seen people who would be strong Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael or that, and we'd meet at a horse show or a cattle show, or even they might sell cattle, and they'd come out and they'd never say to me, "I'll buy you a drink, Val, if you want." No, come on. They wouldn't even ask you, like, come on over and they'll buy you a pint after selling cattle. They wouldn't even ask you, do you want to go over? I've seen that often at shows and things. Come over here. Yeah, man, a pint there. That's what happens. And I don't often feel like it. But that's the kind of society I grew up in, for right or for wrong. But I just want to I have a big interest in the terms used in our society and the science of all things, of everything. But this one here is about the political spectrum. Now, you can turn off if you like. But you hear so much about right and left, far right, far right, far right, and far left. And what does that mean? Well, the best way of putting it, that there are a body of people who believes that the right way to run your country is have a communist government with strong communist constitution. No votes, no electing. Permanent government who can plan long term. No such thing as opposition. Iron heel, but if you toe the line and you don't rock the boat, you can get on and you can prosper. And in China, you can become a millionaire in China. The leader, of course, the supreme leader, he or she decides everything, including whether there's war or whatever. But the only thing keeps them going is they want to stay in power. That's the most thing. Now, we know Adolf Hitler started off as a socialist, National Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. But was he a socialist? He was only a socialist for his own people. He killed millions. So, in many ways, the label socialist is a help to get elected in elections, if there are any elections. And if you're a communist dictator, socialism is a good place to hide behind when somebody wants to call you to account. That's not to say that there haven't been right-wing socialists. I mean, Vlad the Impaler was a cruel, cruel person. What do you call him? Genghis Khan was cruel. You can have cruel right-wing people too. And in Britain, in the early 1900s, it was extreme capitalist, king-orientated, class-ridden society, and it endorsed slavery. It endorsed going over to Africa, taking people as slaves and working them to death. The Europeans were the best at organising that. And that is not to say that there aren't slaves, and even yet in Arab countries and in African countries. But the Europeans commercialised it better and turned people into simple workhorses. And the Europeans are still running America, and they haven't really changed. About 30 years ago, 54% of Americans had German blood. The Germans are big in the bloodline of America. But of course the other European countries are as well. And the black population comes from the slaves. Not all, it has to be said. Nowadays the black people are coming into it big time. But this is what's put across by everyone except the farmer with cows. That's me. That the political spectrum is a straight line. You have the right and the left. So how do you get more left? If you draw the spectrum, how do you get away over extreme right? What is actually extreme right and what is extreme left? Where do you get extreme left? Well, Castro's Cuba was over a good bit on that. Where do you draw the centre line down here? Left of centre. And what is centre? Nowadays, I would say, or postulate, that centre is whatever the normal government of the day, combined with the thinking generally, believe. If you check America, there's about 48% of the people who voted for Joe Biden who didn't know what day of the week it was. But his people around him made sure that the socialist mass migration, green energy nonsense, it doesn't work, climate change, all of this was pushed through without proper voting, and it meant that they could force it on the people whether the people wanted it or not. Now, in America, because they're the ones who would have to die on a battlefield in a war with Russia or China, they think a lot before they voted, and they voted for Trump, rightly or wrongly. We'll not go there, but that shows you how the situation changed. That change of voting for Trump has caused havoc in Europe, where it is extreme left wing. All of European Union and Europe generally, except Hungary and maybe Slovakia, is extreme woke left. Starmer in England has jailed Lucy Connolly. She got out now for a tweet. They are not alone do they push their socialist, their mass migration, their destruction of their environment and their society, but they also come heavy on those who object. Free speech is not allowed. And they're gradually whipping away at free speech, whereas J.D. Vance in America is telling them they can't do that. They have to allow people express their minds. I don't mind any black person saying that I am an idiot, an ignorant pig. Doesn't bother me at all, and I won't be going after him or anything else. I'd like you to debate me. But you do that in England and you get jail. So this is the feature. Now, the other thing about the radical left, and they are all radical left in all fairness, they believe windmills work. The third steelworks in Britain went into liquidation this week. The government has to bail it out to the tune of billions, millions and billions of pounds sterling. Scunthorpe and Port Talbot already went down, and this makes a high quality steel gone. It's gone as well. I think that's the last steelworks in Britain. There's the result of your net zero. There's the result of your carbon taxes, where you have to pay taxes to make steel, to burn coal to make steel, and you have to pay it to some lad who just sits back and enjoys the weather. He closes his factory and he gets you have to pay him. This madness is after leading to those closures, and we see in Europe, in Germany, what it has done to the industries there. And then there is this dolly bird thing. I think it's partly women does it. The garden. Oh, Europe is a garden. Europe is a garden, and the rest of the world is a jungle. So it doesn't matter where the emissions go up in the air. It doesn't matter where the coal is burned, so long as it's not in Europe. But they do try to export it because the European Union has a directive, a sustainability and due diligence or something, where you have to fill up a form to show that you comply with all this LBGPQ, carbon taxes and all of that. We'll see how Trump handles that. But they're trying to force that on their trading partners. Now, I claim this is wrong. The actual political spectrum is different. And I just have to get up here, folks. Sorry. It's like this. It's the face of a clock. At the top you have tyranny, at the bottom you have freedom. The left is this side at 9 o'clock and the right is 3 o'clock. And so a freedom-loving country that has good freedom, like Iceland perhaps, like Switzerland would be down here. Iceland doesn't have to have an army. And that is whittled away for various reasons. As the left socialists move that way, they move a bit that way, and people vote for all the goodies and good health services and everything, but they also vote for a bit of communism, and that they're happy enough with it, most of them. In the right-hand countries, like in America, where they went for Trump, they're moving this way. So it moves this way. But if you get any of those two in extreme, right, if you get them in extreme, they move up this way. So it doesn't matter whether Hitler was left-wing or right-wing. He eventually ended up here with tyranny at 12 o'clock. Do you see it there? and people died by the millions in horrible circumstances. Down here you get very little death by the state. In this, the state is a debt. In the tyranny at the top, the state is a debt purveyor. It's a purveyor of death. Whereas down here at 6 o'clock, down here, we put it 6. The state is not a purveyor of death. It's a purveyor of health, joy, music, culture, freedom. Do your own thing. Live your life the way you want. So once it's down here, it can move either way. Now, I'm the only one in the world to claim that, and I claim that's right. And the more I look at it, the more I believe that is right. Now, there are complications. Like, is America trying to take over all of Asia? Well, they're trying to take over some of it. There's an underlying current in America that's continually trying to grab everything and to control everything. Trump mightn't be altogether a part of it, but they're there. And Vladimir Putin has referred to the deep state. So what's Putin's thing? Well, Putin has Lavrov and several other advisors whom he listens to. And Lavrov has a good appearance. So Russia is probably not here. It honours the old Soviet Union, but in some ways it's right wing and it's gone back to the church and industry and all that. And in other ways it honours the Soviet Union. So I'd say Putin is moving this way. And that's why you see a certain synergy between Trump and Putin, because they kind of agree on the basic stuff. Get on with it, build your factories. Now, Europe has no weapons. So in the recent talks in Washington, you'll know already that Trump met the Russians in Alaska. That went well, and they had a long conversation, and some of it is not known. But when they met in Washington last Monday, I think it was the 18th of August, people don't know this. You see the table there with Trump addressing everyone. But he, at one stage where he went to talk about defence, he put Ursula von der Leyen out. That was some humiliation. That wasn't known. I only discovered that yesterday, and I had to research it. He put her out because he said she's not an elected leader. She's not a leader of anybody. Now, her election comes as a result of elected members of the European Parliament. So to say she's not elected totally is not totally right, but we all know that the people have no say and they wouldn't vote for her. It's all behind closed doors and done deals and all of that. But either way, I'm only telling you that that's the situation. Now, Ursula von der Leyen is a woman. She's a woman that believes strongly in the garden, Europe being a garden, and let all the heavy industry go elsewhere. Now they're facing the situation that they have to fight Russia, maybe, and they don't like to see the result of their actions. Now, J.D. Vance has been given out about Merck and Starmer. They are very, very much on this side. They're up here, extreme left. So as they move on here, you're going to get tyranny. So at the moment they jail Lucy Connolly here at about this point, because she puts on a tweet that they say offends somebody. And don't forget, Theresa May wouldn't let Assie Bibi into Ireland because she said it would offend Muslims. Well, that would move. If Starmer got his way, you'd move up to here. So you'd have tyranny. He'd have a stormtroopers out. So that's what's happening in Britain. Also, you see in Europe, they're banning parties that are likely to win elections. They banned Marine Le Pen because they say she did something wrong. That's for the people to decide. They banned the government in Romania, or the leader in Romania. So that's tyranny. You see democracy going out the window. So on the wheel, as we get to it, democracy is like centrifugal force. You know, if you twist a chestnut around your head or a weight, it's flying out here. So democracy is being flung out, okay, with this left-wing dictatorship. If you had General Galtieri Longo or some other right-wing dictator, anywhere you can name them, wherever you like, or capitalist or whatever. Also up here, democracy would fly out the window as well. You'd have democracy being flying out. Whereas once you come down to about these levels, you still have democracy. And in this way, the people are partly culpable, because the people will not begin to wake up until you get to about this point. At that point, you'll see Britain now, they're taking flags down of poles, St. George English flags, and you're seeing the Union Jack being banned in certain areas in England, taken down of poles. You won't see that. I'm sorry, I had to take a call from a contractor that's doing work for me, and they have to answer these. So no big problem. So you see the way democracy goes out up here, and up here there's no democracy. It's centralized power, full stop. That's what you have in Cuba. That's what you have in Cuba. It doesn't matter. So I think that is that's the only representation of this. And one of my aims in life is that will be introduced to school curricula, whatever you call it. Does it make sense to you? Now, to get me thoughts together, we see that in the Ukraine talks, we are going this way. There's no doubt Trump and J.D. Vance are on this heat. They're here somewhere. They're on the right. And they're criticising the West for the lack of free speech. Now, the way that Trump has it organised now is Europe wants to put on troops on the ground and all. Now, I would have thought from common sense that if Russia agrees to some final land settlement in Ukraine and gets a peace deal, that they're hardly going to invade the rest of Ukraine after they're making a deal. I'm the only one in the world who sees that. If you make a deal with someone and says, that's your field, right, that's it. Why would you need to stand there all night to watch it? It's this left-wing agenda. They want to get the troops into Ukraine to force Ukraine to be communist, to have windmills, to have solar farms, to have LBGPQ, to habit the garden the same as the rest. Meanwhile, they're bankrupt. Meanwhile, Trump's tariffs are causing money to pour into the American economy. Now, his own economy is weak, but he knows that. But he's acting on it. He's got the European Union to promise 600 billion of money into the American economy. And they haven't a Rex. They're poor. So he's forcing them to do it. Well, that is a sort of a form of bullying, but maybe it's a good type of bullying. They'll have less to waste on jailing the likes of me. Okay? So also, he wisely saying to the Ukrainians and the Europeans, right, we'll not let you go. We're not going to put American soldiers in there. And a big issue now is, will American Air Force guarantee Ukraine? And I doubt very much if they will. Why can't they just say, right, we'll leave it alone? Why do they have to have a show of force in there? Because it'll give these crowds like Starmer and Merz and Macron, we finally showed Russia where to go. We finally put manners on Russia. Russia we're now flying over there in a united strength. And the ordinary idiots who vote, well, that's very good, And a quarter of Ukraine gone. But they won't see that. Oh, Merz is a peace lover. Macron is a peace lover. Oh, Starmer's a peace lover. But America says they'll charge them. They've insisted the Europeans up their contribution to NATO to 5%. That is another expense on top of the 600,000. They've also agreed to sell 725 billion of US oil and gas to the EU, cutting off Russia. Meanwhile, Russia has markets elsewhere. America is linked to Israel, which is an extreme right-wing state. No matter how you look at it, it's a right-wing state. There's no communism in England, in Israel, and it's a democracy. So America is tied to the hip with Israel, and they're eyeing up annihilating Iran. And they know that while they have Russia stuck in the Ukraine fighting, Russia won't have time to blast save and work for Iran. They've destroyed Syria. They've put President Sadat out of Syria. They've got Russia's influence in Syria weakened because Russia is stuck here in Ukraine. And it's hard for them to fight on all fronts. So America is not only this way for its own people, but it's expansionist. It's still expansionist, even under Trump. Meanwhile, the EU has nothing. They've been driven out of Africa. Nearly all is gone. That looks very much to me like for Europe to pick itself up at this stage, having to pay America for its energy 3 times the price, having to buy weapons of America to give free to Ukrainians, and having to put 600 billion euros or dollars, same thing near enough, into the American exchequer and into American government bonds, is a recipe for the total and utter economic destruction of Europe. And I say I'm not one bit sorry, because the people of Ireland, the people of Britain and the people of Europe will only stop voting for this when they see it's no good. Imagine Mark Rutte, the leader of NATO, praised Trump for having done more in a few months than Biden did in 4 years. He praised him. And when I praised Trump, they said I was a right-wing activist. Imagine Ursula von der Leyen got up and said Trump is a great man. Why did they go to be beggars like that? I wouldn't have done that. I'd say we're not happy with that and that. If you force it, we have to go. Or we're telling you, it's not a good idea. It's not a good deal. This is bullying. I'd have told it to Trump straight. Mightn't have had much effect. Anyway, you see how this is working out. And you see why my support of Trump was good, because it's making these crowd squirm. Will they be able to destroy democracy in Europe and keep in power? It will be quite hard to do. There's a big push on in America. John Bolton's house has been raided for classified documents. He was Trump's advisor, but he's this way. He's this side. He's a supporter of Kamala Harris, trying to stop Trump. Starmer sent over 200 activists to try and stop Trump being elected. But in Texas, the governor has finally changed the boundaries so that there'll be fair elections to stop the Democrats stealing the elections. In California, they gerrymander the elections, and they're trying now to change that. Trump has put the National Guard into Washington. It's here. It's so bad that if you own a store and you have a microwave oven, the lads can come in, the criminals, and break in, steal your stuff. And the attitude of the government is, well, you'll own nothing, be happy. If you need a microwave, why not take it? Trump's putting the foot down there. So you can see how this comes up. With this one, how do you get far this way, far right or far left? How long would it need to go? And if you extended this continually, it'd go right around the earth and come back here. So even if you put it on the earth in an extreme long example, even if you do, it still comes around as a circle. The political spectrum is not a horizontal bar. This is the shape. Sorry, the nail slipped. It's that shape. Just consider it and think about it. I want this named after me. Or maybe not me either. I think we'll call this Trump's. I don't know who we call it. Anyway, that's a fact. There's no doubt that's the case. That's the case. Neither of these, right or left wing, have any respect for ordinary people or individual rights. Down here, not only do they have respect, they run the government. And the government bears witness to what their people think. As Thomas Jefferson said, the tree of freedom must be fertilized by the blood of patriots and tyrants. Thankfully, in this age, we seem to be able to partly have this settled and move down to here without blood. But that's not really true, because in Ukraine the blood is spilled. And the Ukraine war is a proxy war between America, big business, and Asia. And even Trump, if he settles the Ukraine war, which I hope he does, he's going to move on China. They'll never leave good enough alone. I mean, in this year, they have finished Syria. They've done it on Syria. They did it on Gaddafi's Libya. And they've tried it in Georgia with what they call colour revolutions. The Ukrainian crisis is the result of a colour revolution in 2014. Okay, folks, that's 25 minutes. Have a think about that. I know it's a wee bit too highfalutin for everybody, but still have a think about it. We'll see you back soon. Thank you very much.